Hello everyone, welcome to the Junebug Rancho. Have you ever noticed how a simple splash of color can completely change your mood? Imagine a world without bright yellows or deep blues. It would be terribly dull, wouldn't it? Well, there was an artist who understood this better than anyone. His name was Matisse, and he completely changed the art world forever, simply by using color in a way no one had ever dared to before. Born in France in 1869, he became one of the absolute giants of 20th century art. He didn't just paint things, he painted feelings, and his main tool for doing that was color, used in the most brilliant and shocking ways. We'll follow his story from the very beginning, seeing how his art grew and changed over the years. Think of it like a timeline, but instead of just dates, we're going to use colors to mark each chapter of his incredible life. Each color will help us understand what was happening, not just in his paintings, but in his heart and mind as well. Every great story has a beginning, and for Matisse, that beginning was shaded in tones of blue and other deep, thoughtful colors. He didn't actually start out wanting to be an artist at all, which is quite a surprise. He grew up in a small, rather grey town in northern France, and was all set for a sensible career in law. Imagine that. He was studying to be a lawyer when, at the age of 20, he fell quite ill from appendicitis and had to spend a long time recovering in bed. To keep him from getting bored, his mother gave him a box of paints. And just like that, a whole new world opened up for him. He later called it a kind of paradise. In these early years, Matisse was learning the ropes. He moved to Paris and began to study art properly, copying the famous paintings by the old masters that he saw in the Louvre Museum. His work from this time is very careful and controlled. You can see he is trying to get everything right. The colors he uses are often quite dark and somber, lots of deep blues, earthy greens and browns. Blue is a perfect color for this period. It's calm, serious, and a bit melancholy. It represents a time of intense study and concentration, where he was building the foundations of his skill, learning all the rules of painting before he could eventually break them. You can see his incredible talent for drawing and composition even in these early pieces. He was mastering how to build a picture, how to create a sense of depth, how to capture the look of different textures, like fabric and skin. It's not the wild, bright Matisse we all think of today. But this phase was so important. It was like a musician practicing their scales over and over again until they become second nature. He was absorbing everything he could from the art of the past, from painters like Chardin, whose quiet, still life scenes he deeply admired. This was his apprenticeship, his time in the shade before stepping out into the brilliant sun. This blue period was a time of quiet discovery. He was finding his own eye, figuring out what he liked and what he wanted to say with his art, even if he couldn't quite say it yet. He was like a seed planted in the soil, gathering all the nutrients it needed before it could sprout and grow towards the light. The discipline and skill he developed during these calm, blue beginnings gave him the confidence he would later need to take the massive, colorful leaps that would come to define his career. After his quiet, studious beginnings, something incredible happened. Around 1905, Matisse and friends put on an exhibition in Paris. It caused an absolute uproar. The colors were so wild, so bright, and so completely unlike anything people had seen before. One critic called them les fauves, the wild beasts, and the name stuck. This period is best represented by the color red, passion, energy, and pure shocking emotion. Matisse was no longer in the shadows. He was the leader, roaring with color. Imagine walking into a gallery and seeing a portrait of a woman, her face painted with streaks of bright green, her hair a shock of orange, the background a clash of purple and yellow. This is what people saw in works like Woman with a Hat. They were completely baffled. For centuries, painting aimed to copy reality to make a tree look like a tree, and a face like a face. The Fauves weren't interested in natural colors. They wanted the color that expressed how they felt. Red was their clarion call, liberation from old rules. Matisse believed color had power on its own. It didn't need to describe an object. It could be the main event, the subject itself. In the red room, the scene is drenched in decorative red covering tablecloth and wall, flattening space into pattern. The red isn't just background, it's the feeling, warmth, comfort, and intense visual delight. It was a revolution in thinking. Fauvism lasted only a few years, but its impact was massive and permanent, like a firework lighting up the art world. Matisse threw down the gauntlet. Color could be free. He used thick, bold brushstrokes, squeezed paint straight from the tube. People were shocked, but other artists listened. He showed a painting could be pure joy and emotion, color the most direct way. The Red Revolution had begun, and art would never be the same again. After the fiery explosion of the Fauve years, Matisse's art entered a new phase, one filled with warmth, light, and a sense of calm. He moved away from the hustle and bustle of Paris to the sunny south of France, settling in the seaside city of Nice in 1917. This change of scenery had a huge effect on his work. The color that perfectly captures this long, productive period is a warm, optimistic yellow. It's the color of sunshine pouring through a window, lazy afternoons, comfortable, settled happiness. He had found a new kind of balance in his life and his art. In Nice, Matisse became fascinated with the light of the Mediterranean. It was different from the light in Paris. Clearer, brighter, more intense. He painted hundreds of pictures of the inside of his hotel room, often showing a window looking out onto the palm trees and the bright blue sea. These paintings are filled with patterned wallpaper, decorative screens, lounging models, and feel peaceful and intimate. Even while settled in the sunny comfort of Nice, Matisse's imagination loved to travel. He had taken hugely important trips to Morocco in North Africa before the First World War, and the memories of what he saw there stayed with him for the rest of his life, weaving their way into his art like a rich, colorful thread. The perfect color for this influence is purple, a color that has long been associated with royalty, luxury, and a touch of the exotic and mysterious. The patterns, fabrics, and intense colors he discovered on his travels added a whole new layer of decorative richness to his work. In Morocco, Matisse was struck by a different kind of light and a different way of life. He was captivated by the intricate tile work, the lush gardens, the vibrant textiles, and the way people dressed in flowing robes. He saw how pattern and color were a part of everyday life, not just something to be hung on a wall. This was a massive inspiration for him. He started to fill his paintings with bold, decorative motifs, flattening shapes and simplifying forms to focus on the pure beauty of the pattern. You can see this in his paintings of women dressed as odalisques, surrounded by patterned screens, carpets, and cushions. The purple haze of his imagination led him to explore other forms of art, too. He was commissioned to design the costumes and sets for a ballet called The Song of the Nightingale for the famous Ballets Russes. This was a perfect project for him, allowing him to think about color and shape moving in three-dimensional space. He created wonderfully vibrant costumes that transformed the dancers into living parts of his artistic vision. It showed that his ideas about color and form were so powerful, they could break free from the picture frame and enter the real world. As Matisse entered his later years, he was faced with enormous challenges. After undergoing major surgery for abdominal cancer in 1941, he was left frail and confined to a wheelchair or to his bed. For many artists, this would have been the end. But for Matisse, it was the start of a whole new, incredibly joyful chapter. Unable to stand and paint at an easel for long periods, he invented a completely new way of making art. He called it drawing with scissors. The color for this final, brilliant burst of creativity has to be pink. Playfulness, pure fun, and youthful energy reborn. His method was wonderfully simple and direct. He had his assistants paint large sheets of paper vibrant pinks, blues, yellows, greens. Then, with a large pair of scissors, he would cut directly into the color, carving out shapes of leaves, birds, flowers, dancing figures. He didn't draw an outline first. He cut straight into the painted surface. He would then have his assistants arrange these shapes on the walls of his room, moving them around until the composition felt absolutely perfect. It was a process that was part painting, part sculpture, and part collage. These late works, known as the cutouts, are bursting with life and energy. They are some of the most optimistic and life-affirming art ever made. Works like The Snail, Blue Nudes are masterpieces of simplicity and color. He had managed to boil art down to its most essential elements: pure color and simple shape. The pink of this period represents this sense of freedom and childlike wonder. It was as if, at the end of his life, he had discovered the most direct way to express the joy he felt, and he wanted to share it with the world in the biggest, brightest way possible. The crowning achievement of this period was his design for the Chapel of the Rosary in Vence, a small town near Nice. He worked on it for 4 years, designing everything from the stained glass windows to the priest's robes. The chapel is flooded with colored light that moves and changes throughout the day, creating a peaceful and spiritual atmosphere. For Matisse, this project brought all his ideas together: art, color, light, and life. Henri Matisse's life was truly a journey through color, a moving rainbow that arced across the 20th century. He passed away in 1954, but he left behind a legacy that shines as brightly as the color gold. Gold is the perfect color to symbolize his lasting importance. It represents value, brilliance, and an influence that never fades. He completely changed the way we think about art. Before him, color was mostly used to describe things. After him, color could be the thing itself, the main subject, the main emotion, the main reason for the painting to exist at all. His great gift to us was the lesson that art can and should bring joy. He showed generations of artists that you don't have to follow the old rules, that you can use color to express your deepest feelings. Artists like Mark Rothko, with his huge canvases of pure color, owe a huge debt to the path that Matisse first cleared. His influence is everywhere. You see it in design, in fashion, and in illustration. He made it okay for art to be beautiful, decorative, happy. He proved that simplicity could be incredibly powerful, and that a few well-chosen colors could speak volumes. When you look at a Matisse painting today, whether it's an early, moody blue portrait or a final, explosive pink cutout, you are connecting with that search for joy. He wanted his art to be a comfort and a delight, a small patch of sunshine you could bring into your home and your heart. He taught us to really look at the world, not just for what it is, but for the feelings it inspires. He encourages us to see the beauty in a simple pattern, the energy in a bright color, and the elegance in a flowing line. His work is a constant and wonderful reminder to open our eyes and our hearts. So, the next time you see a bright color that makes you smile, think of Henri Matisse. He understood that color is a language that everyone understands. It's a language of emotion, of light, and of pure, simple happiness. He took this language and used it to create a world of beauty that we can all escape into. He didn't just paint pictures. He painted a feeling of warmth and optimism that continues to touch and inspire us all. His work is a golden treasure, a timeless gift of joy to the world. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more art stories.